Let's move on with another hard worker, Diptyque Laurent. Hi there.
Hi, Kat.
You've been thumbing through all of the international papers for us this morning to bring us some of the top headlines. And you're going to start us off in the German press, where, of course, the attack on the Christmas market in Berlin on Monday night is continuing to dominate.
A lot of soul-searching today and a lot of analysis in the German press, Kat. The Frankfurter Allgemeine quotes the German president on its front page, the German president Joachim Gauck, who said yesterday, "This was an attack on the center of how we live our lives." That's a headline on the Frankfurter Allgemeine. The president said yesterday, "While we're shaken, our convictions, our values should not be shaken." While Deutsche Welle says this attack will inevitably change Germany forever. In particular, the carefree, lighthearted attitude that Germans may have had before will no longer be there. Germany will feel less safe, the editor says.
Something that we know about here in Paris for sure. Sticking with the German press, one paper is looking at how this is likely to impact on Angela Merkel.
That paper is Der Tagesspiegel on its front page, which says a trail of terror. And the photo there you see is one of a candlelit vigil from Berlin. The paper also looks at, they're wondering what impact this is going to have on Angela Merkel and in particular her politics. How will she be able to defend her open door refugee policy after the Berlin Christmas attack? Obviously reminding everyone that we still don't know who was behind it. But the paper says, nevertheless, when the shock and grief subsides, Merkel will no longer be able to, quote, publicly negotiate on contentious political issues.
As you alluded to, there are a lot of people speculating about whether an immigrant, a refugee, an asylum seeker might have been behind this. We know that police did raid one asylum seeker reception centre. The German press also widely reported that a Pakistani man was the assailant, but this man has now been released by police. They say there's insufficient evidence to link him to the attack scene.
That's right, but there was still a lot of hysteria about this man being the person who was behind the attack. And despite this incident of misreporting, we're not seeing any apology or attempt to rectify that information in the German press. But on the other hand, in the English-speaking press, we are seeing sort of some allusions to this. The Wall Street Journal's headline on this Wednesday says, "Berlin frees attack suspects," obviously taking that angle, while we're seeing in other papers like The Guardian, in its Berlin terror attack coverage, reports that refugees are pleading with the German public against a blanket assumption that they're all terrorists.
Indeed, and it really underlines, doesn't it, that in these early stages of investigations particularly, I think you do need to be so careful, treat all this kind of information and speculation with kid gloves. We can move on now to another international story that we're following, a meeting in Moscow between the foreign ministers of Russia, Iran and Turkey. Syria was the dominant topic.
Well, those three ministers were meeting in Moscow to try and broker peace talks on Syria. That's what the Tehran Times is reporting on its front page. The London-based paper Al-Awsat, which is an Arabic language paper, generally takes a more pro-Saudi line. They published this cartoon. You see the three leaders of Iran, Turkey and Russia at a round table with a puppet occupying the empty fourth seat representing the Syrian regime, the idea being that for this alliance, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad must be part of the solution in Syria. Now, on the flip side, the pro-Iranian paper Rai al-Yum notes that this meeting signifies a breakup of Turkey with its Arab allies and signals the fact that Turkey is moving closer towards Russia, a new phase, possibly out of obligation after all this meeting took place after the assassination of Russia's ambassador to Turkey in Ankara by a Turkish policeman.
All right, let's move on to the United States, where we know, of course, Donald Trump has now this week been confirmed as the next US president by the Electoral College. But Dipsy, Barack Obama, it seems, is preempting some policies that Donald Trump is believed to be likely to try and bring in. He's passing through some pretty significant laws concerning the environment and human rights.
And he's doing it very quickly, Kat. He's just announced a permanent ban on offshore oil and gas drilling along the Arctic and Atlantic seaboard. In theory, this law cannot be reversed by Donald Trump, but the New York Times reports that, this could end up in the courts for many years to come. You might remember Barack Obama also rushed to ratify the Paris Agreement on climate change just after Trump's win. Well, USA Today reports that Obama granted 78 48 prisoner pardons and 153 reduction of sentences on Monday. It's a single-day record for any president, as you see in this chart here. The last president being so lenient was Harry Truman.
Gosh, that's a very long time ago, isn't it? Just got time for one last story. We keep slipping those festive stories in for you, don't we? We've got one here about Monopoly. I'm pretty sure my family's going to be playing that this Christmas, but are we all going to be arguing about this game?
Well, if you are, there's the Monopoly makers are launching a hotline this Christmas. It is a game that's enjoyed on Christmas Day between families, but Monopoly makers say half of all games end up in fights. According to a poll of 2,000 adults, the most frequent arguments are over the rules or allegations of stealing from the bank.
Or which little piece you get.
Or which little
Who gets
piece
to be
and
the
how
car.
that impacts your future victory. So as a result, Monopoly is releasing a Christmas hotline to help resolve those family disputes. You'll be able to get mediation on arguments, and there are rule book experts on hand who can intervene when it comes to the rules of the game. And let's face it, we're all prone to making up or bending those rules as long as it helps us win.
Indeed, my family just tends to gang up against my poor dad, unfortunately. So maybe he'll be on the phone to those experts. Thanks so much, Diptyque Laurent, looking through the international press for us. Time for a short break now here on France 24. We'll see you in a couple of minutes' time.